everybody, Ben here from the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to Top 5 Friday. Every Friday we get together and we have a look at the top 5 something to do with Blood Bowl. Now this one was actually very, very difficult, and we had some absolutely brilliant comments from you guys out there, so thank you very much for participating. Now, what we're looking at today is the top TV 1500 teams. So that's team value 1500 or 1.5 million builds. Now, specifically, we're kind of looking at League. And the reason this one is so flipping difficult is because, unsurprisingly, every team is good at 1500. Now, of course, you can take and spam a load of randoms and end up with garbage players, or you can just pick the wrong skills, or you can do it on a dare, and your team could end up suboptimal. But generally speaking, if you've got a good idea of what your team is going for, by the time you hit 1500, it can deal with most things. It's got good offense, it's got good defense, and it's got good removal potential. So realistically, every team is great at 1500. But what I've put together for you today is my top 5 teams that at 1500 are really humming along. Now there's one that's definitely the most improved, but the others are teams that really are the strongest point I think they could be at 1500. And I'm very much looking forward to hearing what you guys think of this roster. Anyway, let's have a look. Number 5, for me, it is Chaos Pact. Now, don't get me wrong, any team at 1500 is going to be awesome, but Chaos Renegades, Chaos Pact, they don't suck. But at the start of a league, at 1 million build, even 1100, they're unfinished. Okay, this team is potentially the ultimate blank slate in Blood Bowl. OWA are definitely up there with them, but OWA start with skills including Animosity and Loner, so they do get hurt. Renegades have got nothing. Okay, you've got the new human thrower, don't rate him much, but this is the cool thing. So by 1200 you fill out your roster, you've got all your pieces, and they're starting to brew up. Now add 400,000 worth of skills to this team, and what you end up with at 1500 is a team that can absolutely deal with anything if you build them right. Now we're looking at the Dream Teams series at the moment, where we're looking at teams at 1250, 1500 and 1750, and how to kind of like a roadmap to develop your team. But Renegades are the ultimate Bob Ross development team. Okay, you can build them how you want them. And by 1500, you've got a smorgasbord of different players with different strengths. You've probably got that guard tentacles troll on the line with Brawler maybe ready to go. You've got the Minotaur that's got potentially Claw. I know Claw Mighty Blow doesn't stack as well anymore, but don't let that stop you. And then you've got the Ogre as well. Maybe you're running the Rat Ogre. There's just so much cool stuff that you can do with the roster alone. And then you've got those players. So are you going with the Skaven Bullhawk? Are you going with the Runner? You know, are you doing Dark Elf as your quarterback? This team can be so much. So for me, the reason it's the top 5 for me at 1500 with Renegades is because when you get your Renegades to 1500, it becomes a team of the ages. There is going to be very few other teams like it. There are going to be no teams that play like it. And ultimately, the reason it has to be on the list for me is because at 1500, this team will play completely different than at 1 million. If you take a Skaven team and you play it at 1 million, you play it at 1500, it just got better. Okay, you take Dwarves at that point and this point, they just got better. They'd still do dwarf things. If you lose a lineman, I've lost some skills, I'll replace it with another lineman. You lose a dude here, you've built a positional. And that means that at 1500, Chaos Renegades plays like a completely different team, a completely specialized team at 1500. And that has to have it on the list. So love Pact, and at 1500 they are a very unique and much better experience. Number 4, it's the Necromantic team. So we've actually got the dream team for this one out. I had some great chats about it. Now, the cool thing about Necromantic at 1500 is you can buy everything. You can buy everything at 1200, 1250, okay? Whether you start out with 2 werewolves, no ghouls, 1 werewolf, 2 ghouls, like we're doing in the Bonehead Championship, it doesn't matter. By 1500, you've got everything. And everything has got the skills that you need them to do. Everybody here is level 3 at that point, okay? You've got golems, they're block, guard, block mighty blow, you know, they've got skills and they're ready to go. You've got to tackle werewolf, you've got to tackle wight, you've got sure hands ghoul maybe. There's so much potential here, but Necromantic have got the whole toolkit right at the very beginning. Okay, they struggle a little bit on the top end, but by 1500 that is counterbalanced by the fact you've got golems and you've got wights, wraiths, sorry, with that little bit of guard that you need. And if you tie that into the fact you've got some werewolves, and honestly, if you're in a league with some bruisers in it, Dauntless is another great skill on those werewolves. But you have to save up. No, you don't have to save up. That's just generic. There you go. Dauntless is a great skill to have on a werewolf. One guard plus Dauntless is just going to eat things. Didn't put that in the dream teams, actually. That's interesting. That is interesting. Anyway, the point is, by 1500 Necromantic, you've got all the positionals, you've got enough rerolls, and everybody here is starting to level up. It's actually very similar to Chaos Pact in that way. This team starts a little bit skill light. You got a couple of blocks, and that's basically it. A couple of blocks, a couple of dodges, and the werewolves are just begging to become blodgers. So by this point, you've got bludge wolves, you've got some guard, you've got mighty blow, you've got a couple of zombies with some random, level ups as well. And the team just starts doing everything that we just talked about. On defense, you've got those stand firm pieces. You've got that guard frenzy combo that can just absolutely destroy a cage in an instant. And you've got an incredible amount of scoring threats here. Sure, you don't have the coast-to-coast offense that you would have if you had a thrower, but with movement 7 dodge pieces and movement 8 great pieces at the beginning of their life, by the time they're 1500, those guys have just got skills to make them better. So this team can score beautifully, okay, at 1500. 1500, your teams are really kind of gunslingers. And from a defensive and physical point of view, zombies are just awesome. They're not snotlings, okay, but if you want to get your TVOP advantage, 40k for a zombie is going to tag and take down basically anybody else. But you've got golems that will smash up most alignment, and you've got those wolves that in concert with some guard, and their frenzy's just going to tear stuff apart. They start with claws. They just that natural ability. So 1500, they are humming along. You've got the pieces that you need, and the team just plays like its best self. Number 3 for me, it's the Orc team. Now, Orcs in the old edition were ever so slightly different, I'll give you that. Okay, now the Bubs, not the Black Orcs, have got movement 5. And there's a little bit of animosity. Now, that animosity has proven to be really not that big a deal. Much less of a big deal than the movement 5 of the Bubs has been kind of more beneficial. Orcs at 1500. Man, I have loved brewing up Orc rosters. I have loved grinding games and skilling them up. Now, not in Blood Bowl 2020, I'll give you that, but the majority of what you know about Orcs in 16, it transfers across, okay? The same skills are great on the same players. The way you manage your SPP is very different, but the core of what you're shooting for Orcs is the same. And it's not unheard of to be playing some games on Fumble and to stumble across an Orc team 1450, maybe 1600 time, and it is a remarkably miserable experience. By this point, the Orc team may just have the troll for the lols, but what they do have are 4 geared up blitzers. Okay, these guys have got tackle, guard, mighty blow. One of them might have sure hands. You've got 4 big and blockers who are also geared up. Okay, we're talking block, guard, potentially mighty blow, and you've just got this interwoven concert of strength and guard. Now, Orcs are sneaky better than Dwarves when it gets to this level. Now, the reason for that is they've got that, they start at strength 4. Anybody can take guard, block, and tackle. Anybody can do it, but not everybody can start with 4 movement 5, strength 4 pieces as well, okay? On top of that, it is going to take time for you to get to 1500 with Orcs, but you're going to do it. Your blitzers are going to be absolutely god tier players by this point, okay? You're going to have the spare SPP to take a punt on an extra stat up if you want it, but realistically, it's block. You've got that already. Guard, mighty blow, frenzy, tackle. These are toolkit pieces, sure hands. You spread them around your blitzers in the order that your league dictates, and by the time you're at 1500, most of your players have got most of these skills, and you've got what essentially become some of the better blockers at 1500 in the entire flipping game. They're cheap, they're tough, they are strong, and when you combine them with these linemen, it just suits the play so much. An Orc lineman surrounded by 2 guard bubs is a strength 5 piece for 50k, and that's where the value comes in here, is because this is not a team just of 4 great blitzers and 4 great blockers. It's got that ability to just bring utter chaff players, really, and make them superb. Okay, you get a Black Orc, like a big and blocker lineup with a couple of linemen on there, that's 6 strength 4, strength 5 players. Most of them are going to have block. They are definitely going to have some mighty blow in there. Then you're backing them up with those blitzers. You're going to have a couple of frenzy, or you're going to have a couple of tackle, at least maybe 1 frenzy if you're feeling like brewing up a killer piece. But frenzy, mighty blow when you've got 1 guard, it is a delete piece. Now, the lack of claw on this team will definitely hold it back, but the way claw works in this new edition now as well, it's not that big a deal. And the other great thing here with Orcs is you get all that skill and all that goodness for 1350, 1400. That means you can sneak a troll in, you can sneak a couple of goblins in there, you can have a lineman that's got dirty player. You get the ability to play this absolutely tough, physical, like we're talking Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens running into each other, with the Browns in there as well. You get that AFC grouping with this team, and they've got the ability to just chuck a couple of 40k players in there to come along and mop up with the feet as well. I love Orcs, I love brewing them up, and at 1500 an Orc team is a superb challenge. That said, if you're bringing a vanilla team and you're playing Orcs at this level, bring a giant. It's great fun. 3-0. Number 2, it has to be Lizardman, and I think Lizardman were probably the second most picked teams in the comments from across the channels. And you bang on the money. Okay, lizards are expensive in this edition. They've got nerfed ever so slightly. They also got boosted ever so slightly. So when it comes to the lizards, by 1500, if you've seen the dream teams, you'll know this as well. You've got everything, okay? You've got a Croxagore, which is sneaky, one of the best big guys in this game. You've got 6 blockers. They've all got block. They've all got block now. They've all got block. They've got some guard. They've got some mighty blow, maybe even some tackle. And then you've got those chameleon skinks. You're probably only running 1 at this point because one of them's probably died. But it doesn't take much for that chameleon skink to really become a huge element of your offense, like a real facilitator. OTB is going to mean it starts with movement 10. 1 or 2 skills, whether you save up for sure hands or diving catch or something, just to absolutely maximize your beginning of your drive, you're good to go. And those skinks do not take much. You cannot do anything bad with a skink, okay? Sprint. Now I'm even faster. Saving up for SPP to get extra movement. Now I'm even faster. Maybe I boosted up my agility. Maybe I saved up and took break tackle. Now every now and again I can take a 2++ dodge. There's just so much you can do with skinks. Now this is the team that I think starts to really personify everything you're looking for at 1500. At 1 million you're happy having, woohoo, my team is super scory, and oh, I can bash anything in the face, right? You kind of got a deal. By 1500 you need to be hitting all of these deals at once. Speed, strength, and just absolute flexibility. The Lizardman team is so strong and so powerful, and at 1500 you've got a Croxagore with 1 or 2 strength skill ups or block. Alright, that's not bad either. You've got that concert of 6 strength 4 blockers. Now the cool thing is with these, and you'll see this from dream teams and also with the way the Black Orc team is developed, those blockers are amazing, but when it comes to Lizardman, one of them being brewed up as your blitzer is good to go. Okay, so when I say blitzer, I mean it gets block like all the others, but instead of getting guard, you can take tackle, you can take mighty blow, you can take frenzy, and you can use it as a big middle linebacker. Okay, let 2 of those guys flank the Crocs, let 4 of those guys, you know, flank the Crocs. Absolutely good to go. Use 2 of them as blitzers and you brew them up, and then you're looking at basically scaly Ulf Warreners in a team that's also bagged up with teeny tiny gutter runners, and that is just an absolute superb concert of bash and dash. And when it came to bash or dash, which was a great fun episode we did, Lizardmen are just both, and at 1500 they've filled out their gaps. They've got a bench, they've got some ball handling skills, and they've got a ton of block, and it is just filthy. Lizards at 1500 are a challenge to everybody. So maybe don't play against them. And the number one team, probably not to play against in Blood Bowl at 1500 for me, is Chaos Dwarfs. Let's centralize that text. Chaos Dwarfs, man. This is how the team looks if you can get hold of it. I'm hoping that in the future, very soon perhaps, we'll get a Chaos Dwarf team from Games Workshop, and then we're going to see this team absolutely flipping everywhere. Now, 1500 is a big jump for a lot of teams. Now, when it comes to this team, starting at 1 million, you've got a bunch of block, you've got tackle. But the point of the Chaos Dwarf team is that it has subgroups of everything. It doesn't have super speedy scorers, but what it does have is an arsenal of very decent scorers. And I think that's why it gives it the edge. Okay, so Lizards, Chaos Dwarves, 1500. Why have I given Chaos Dwarf the edge? These guys are by now block, tackle, right? They start like that. They start like that. So you are running your Lizardman, you've got your skinks, you've got your scoring threats. This team has 5 or 6 inbuilt deterrents for that. And at 1500, you've got 2 or 3 of the following choices: Minotaur, Chaos Bull Centaur, Bull Centaur. Pick 2 or 3 of those and add them to a team that has some of the best blockers in the game and some incredibly effective. These guys are 40k a piece, right? They're just armor busted humans, linemen. That's it. 40k. So you have got a strength 3 goblin. All right, doesn't have stunty or dodge, but movement 6 and 3+. Okay, that is 40k. 60k, you've got a human lineman with sure hands. Okay, 1 skill, 2 touchdowns, good to go. And it just gets better from there. So you've got a concert of 6 linemen whose skills are going to support each other, who are all individually going to be able to play a really good safety game. Movement 4 is going to hurt you massively, but if only you had a selection of strength and speed in the backfield to really take care of those breakthrough. For example, a pair of Bull Centaurs who by now will have block and or surehand / tackle. That's your safety covered. Okay, they've got to run through your tackle net. Okay, if they're going for a fast dash speed run, they've got to get through your tackle net of these guys, and then they have to finish in a safe enough place to avoid a Minotaur or a Bull Centaur who is going to get 3 dice on your ball carrier, and they're probably going to have tackle. So Chaos Dwarves have just got the most insane defense, and especially running 1500 where everything is tanked up. Now, right at the beginning of the video, we talked about Chaos Pact and how there's a lot of blank slate in there when you build up your guys, and they play differently at 1500 than they do at 1 million. That is actually quite true when it comes to Chaos Dwarves. 60% of the team does its thing and will always do the thing in the same way, but these hobgoblins will build into tiny heroes, as will your Bull Centaurs. And if you are one of those awesome people that likes to run the Minotaur, which I'll admit is a little bit subpar for the Chaos Dwarves, you're just going to have an insane amount of fun doing it, and that Mino is going to become infamous in your league. You're going to end up with 2 hobgoblins whose name everybody knows because they're like, oh, that flipping sure hands hobgoblin, or that flipping dodge, whatever, it doesn't even matter. You've got that backed up with a great front line. You've got you've got 2 to 3 big bruisers in the backfield as well. Now that is just so difficult to crack through. I am a massive Skaven coach. I love it. I love the dash. I love pulling out the dice. You guys need to watch the Bonehead Championship. You'll know I like pushing my dice, and sometimes it gloriously works. Sometimes it really doesn't. But this team is so consistent, and it gets so spicy at 1500 because it gets character with these hobgoblins. They're cheap enough, but you also get an insane amount of strength and consistency with that front line, and backed up with 2 to 3 insane linebacker / blitzer pieces with the Minotaur and the Bull Centaurs. Your scoring threats are strength 6. Strength 6. That would be, I would play that team. No, your scoring threats are movement 6. That's a 2-turn touchdown. That's fine. This team doesn't want to score big fast. It doesn't need to. But when it does need to, Bull Centaurs can motor along at 9 squares. So one big push with this Chaos Dwarf team, building a cage with Chaos Dwarves, and then breaking through with a Hobgoblin, with a Bull Centaur, with whatever, they will be able to score as quickly as they want to, but they will never need to score because they will outmuscle you, and with some very good positioning, this team almost blue decks you. It just takes away things that work for you without the downside of suffering from movement or fancy strength stuff. Chaos Dwarves have it all, and at 1500 you really start to feel it, and it's very, very cool, and I cannot wait for this team to become just commonplace. I wonder if Games Workshop are going to tweak it ever so slightly. I don't think they need to. Alright, Chaos Dwarves, they just got good stuff. It'd be interesting if these actually changed to goblins. That would be very interesting, and I would potentially think that would be even stronger. Okay, having that stunty dodge, then it just kind of turns into a downgraded Black Orc team. But not downgraded, because Bull, Centaurs and Minotaurs. I love every team on this list. I love the fact that as you brew it up, it becomes something better, something different, and something so much more than it is a million. So I guess when it comes to top 5 TV 1500 teams, pick any team in the game. At 1500, it's going to do all the different stuff you want it to. But for me, this top 5 just does it harder, does it more, and gives you a very different feeling, a very elite feeling of the teams. And it's just the best way to play Blood Bowl. Anyway, guys, let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts. I know Nurgle aren't in here. They do get good the same way as these, but I just so close. They were in the top 30 teams. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content. We get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.